My name is Poorvie Patel, and I'm an alumna of the AOII chapter from Western Kentucky University. Today we're in Washington, D.C., as you can see. Currently, I work at the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition here in Washington, D.C. as a Government Relations Associate. In my role, I spend a lot of time up here on the Hill advocating on behalf of over 500 businesses and NGOs of breadth and depth, of Bread for the World to Boeing to Walmart to World Vision, all to ensure that we have a robust funding for the international affairs budget. After graduating from Western Kentucky University in 2013, I continued on to graduate school at the University of Kentucky, where I received a master's degree in diplomacy and development. After that, I moved here. I found myself in Washington, D.C., working at the Stimson Center, doing a fellowship on non-proliferation issues in South Asia. I had always been a foreign policy wonk, loved political science. So after DC, I got an opportunity to go work at the UN in New York City. So I worked for the Special Representative on Sexual Violence and Conflict. It was an amazing opportunity for me to, see firsthand the victims of sexual violence and help get justice for them. Women, children, men, I think it really opened my eyes to it's not just women that are in trouble, it's everybody in conflict. After that, I found myself back in DC. I wanted to continue advocating, and so I started working at the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, where I still currently work, and I am on the Hill. I meet with members of Congress, with staffers, to let them know and explain to them why U.S. foreign assistance and foreign aid is so critical. And I was actually able to see these programs work firsthand when I was in India. I worked for an NGO that was funded by the U.S. government, and when I was at the UN, my contract was funded by the U.S. government. So to be able to see sort of, the direct positive impact that the U.S. can have on lives across the world was very powerful. Choosing this career path, it was anything but easy, but I think I can attribute a lot of my successes to all the failures that I actually had on the way, whether it be applying to over 100 jobs coming out of grad school. DC is so competitive, and one job has over 2,000 applications sometimes. So just getting rejections, that's just part of it, and I learned that it's not just me, it's other people too. And so that really helped motivate me to just continue trying. When I was at the United Nations in New York City, I worked for the Office of the Special Representative on Sexual Violence and Conflict. And I think, it's a tongue twister, and it's a long name, it's a new office, and not a lot of people knew what it was. People know what UNICEF is. We see commercials on television, people know what UN Women is, what UNHCR, working with refugees, is, but I think sexual violence and conflict was something that was so niche and not a lot of people knew what it was. So in my experience, I think I was able to help advocate and really help with the communications aspect of getting this campaign out so people know what's going on. And so during my time there, we helped with raising a lot of awareness for #EndRapeAndWar. I think we see on the news fighting and military and all of that, but we forget about the civilian implications, and a lot of that is unnecessary sexual violence by terrorist groups, by actual armies. And so to help bring those victims and survivors, to help them bring justice, whether it be with our team of experts who were able to go out and help countries reform their judicial systems and try rape cases, to making sure that women and children who were victims of sexual violence were given reparations, to overall bringing these perpetrators to justice. All three of those things were some of the things that I got to work with. In my current role at the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, I get to work with so many different partners, from implementing organizations, which are, for people that don't know, those are the NGOs and groups on the ground across the world to carrying out development programs, whether it's vaccines, providing vaccines, or helping provide reproductive health access, to food, to everything that people need outside of the military. That's what development or diplomacy does. And so some of our members of the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, they do this. So Save the Children and CARE, IRC, these are probably organizations that people hear on TV or read about and see on the news. And so I work with those organizations to ensure that Congress is well up to date on what they're doing, and that the U.S. government is getting enough money and funding so that these organizations and even businesses are able to carry out their work. So my day-to-day, I'm on the Hill a lot. I meet with staffers. Some of them don't know what diplomacy and development programs do, so it's educating, what our State Department does, what our USAID does. It's meeting with members of Congress and telling them firsthand with some of our, coalition members of how they're being impacted. We also help with legislation. I'm really proud to say that my organization helped work with Ivanka Trump on the Women's Empowerment Initiative, the WGDP that was passed and now is going to help millions of women across the world, to helping global fragility. And so I think these are just some instances of where my organization in my work that I do, we're able to educate and influence and advocate on behalf of all of these organizations and businesses that are doing a lot of good things. I would say my proudest moment is, it happens multiple times, and it's every time I get to see my grandparents, and when they smile because they see how far I've come. In that instance, the way I feel, it's tremendous. And I say that because I'm first generation American. My grandparents were farmers in India. They are not educated. My mom didn't finish high school, and so for me to be where I am, completing education, to working at the UN, to now being in Washington, D.C., our country's capital, when I go home and tell them, like, oh, I met with so-and-so, or on the phone I'll be like, oh, I had an event with XYZ, and the happiness that they feel is when I feel the most proud, because I don't need to show anybody else what I'm doing. It's just seeing my family happy is what makes me the proudest. Being an alumna of Alpha Omicron Pi I think I'm living it now. Those memories that I have, whether it be on midday when I first joined, to all the different positions that I served in leadership on AOPI in my chapter, to the opportunities that I had with AOPI. As a collegiate, I was actually able to come to DC 2 times. The first time I came here, I was interning for my congressman, and I had to find a place to stay. AOPI, I was able to get connected with a local chapter here and the alumni group, and someone helped me find housing, and I also was able to apply for a scholarship to come here through AOPI. So I think these opportunities, it's beyond just the chapter at your school. You can really tap into the whole entire AOPI system. And the second time I was able to come to DC was also with AOPI. I came here as a collegiate to lobby for a bill to make college housing more safe for students everywhere. And so to be able to learn from Carol Jones, who is now MPC chairwoman, to other collegiates who were Greek, that was an amazing experience, because we were able to really make a difference. Meeting with members of Congress as collegiates, telling them to sign on to a bill. And we were just up here doing our thing, and so both of these sort of instances were only made possible for me because of AOPI, and so I'm really thankful to the entire organization for that. Inspire ambition to me means that I am always being looked at. People are always going to look at you. So every single thing you say and do, it matters. And so if you're walking on the street, smile at somebody. If someone's having a bad day, make a nice gesture. I think that your Inspire ambition doesn't just mean that you need to, do all these great things so that people can be more ambitious. It's to just inspire anybody. And so I think that, always make sure that you know what you're saying and doing, because it can have an impact on somebody. And for me, that means I'm going to try to be as positive as I can and do as good as I can. No one's perfect, but I think that Inspire ambition really helps me, has molded me, and I think Inspire ambition has certainly helped me, build this value that I hope to carry forever. For an AOII who's just graduating or graduating soon, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give to her is never stop trying, and do not take failure at face value. I think because, like I said, my successes, I attribute those to my failures. You are not going to get your dream job. You're not going to become CEO of a company overnight, and certainly not when you apply straight out of college. So I think take every opportunity that you get, because you can make that and mold it and use it. That will be beneficial for you for the next. So I think, just keep trying. Rejection is not a bad thing. Rejection is literally going to make you stronger, and failure is going to help you with every success that comes on the way, and it'll be that much sweeter.